Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening all. Welcome back to Swaroop IT Learning Solutions. So in this particular video series, we will continue to learn installing, configuring and managing VMware Hypervisor version 8.x infrastructure. So we will practically execute following steps in the part 13 chapter 05 video. Before going to the chapter 05, let's recap what we have learned in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. So previous 4 modules we have learned for the backup and disaster recovery. We have learned how to install our VEEAM Backup and Replication Manager, how to configure VEEAM Backup and Replication Manager, then how to take the backup of vCenter server and how to restore vCenter server from a disaster recovery perspective. So those 4 topics we have covered in previous 4 modules. If you want to see, you can go back to my YouTube channel and see those videos. Okay, now in this particular chapter 5 video, what we are going to learn, so we will be backing up the VMware vSphere ESXi host version 8.0.3e 246777879 via VEEAM Backup Manager through full file and VM level backup option. Okay, so in the previous model, as I said, we have taken the backup of vCenter server. Now we will take the backup of ESX hosts. Okay, so let's start. So the first step towards this particular module, install the VEEAM Backup and Replication Server software on Windows 2022 base system and restart it once. Now this is my base system. Okay, I need to install the VEEAM Backup on my base system, which I have already done. I will just explain you the reason behind it. We are taking a file level backup of our ESX host. So if I'm going to my VMware workstation, if you remember what is our lab setup, we have installed our ESX host as a nested VM under VMware workstation, right? So it is actually not a nested VM, it is a normal VM, application level VM, and inside that we have installed a couple of nested VMs like vCenter server or Windows 11 CL. So those are the nested VMs, but this is the type 1 VM or level 1 VM, ESXHOST01, and same thing for ESXHOST02 also, right? So from our lab setup perspective, this is a virtual machine, ESXHOST01. Okay, although it is an ESX host, but it is still a virtual machine. So what we are going to do, we are going to take the entire VM's backup as a file level VM level backup. Okay, so which machine is hosting this particular VMware workstation and then ultimately this ESXHOST01 VM? Our Windows 22 base system, that means my physical system. So that's why I need to install the VEEAM Backup and Replication Console on my base system. I hope I'm clear. Okay, in the previous module we have installed our VEEAM Backup on our DC system, that is our one of the VM, because through that we are taking our nested VMs vCenter servers backup. Okay, so in 2022 DC also we have installed VEEAM Backup, but now we need to take the backup of our ESX host, which is hosted by Windows 2022 base system, that is my physical system. That's why we need to install the VEEAM Backup and Replication Console. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this particular concept. So I have already installed the VEEAM Backup and Replication Console on my main system, so I will not repeat those steps. So if you want to see how to install VEEAM Backup on any particular system, you can see my previous video on this particular module. Okay, so let's go back to our PPT. Now next step is we need to configure some network settings on our Windows 2022 base system. So I will just explain you why those settings are required. So we need to assign one local IP to our VMnet 2 network adapter. So I will go to the network settings, change adapters, and my VMnet 2. Okay, this particular adapter is assigned, or it is binded with my internal virtual machines. Okay, so if I'm coming to my DC system, let's say, and if I'm opening command prompt and just giving the ipconfig command, so you can see over here the local IP of this particular machine is 192.168.1.100. okay, this is my DC. Okay, so my primary network range is 192.168.1. okay, so the same thing I need to apply to my VMnet 2. okay, so if I'm going to the properties, and remember we are in Windows 2022 base system, means our physical system. So if I'm going to the properties and if I'm double clicking on it, so this is the IP which I have given 192.168.1.1, so that it can communicate with my internal VMs, that is my DC. okay, so this is the first change what we need to do. okay, so 192.168.1.1, this is the IP. And second thing is the most important one, which is mentioned in this particular step. We need to change the DNS server to 192.168.1.100. that means we need to give the DNS reference of our DC system. You can see that DC system's IP is 192.168.1.100. same IP we need to give as a DNS server for our 2022 DC system VMnet 2. Now you must be wondering why I have given this DNS name, because I want to ping the FQDN of these three VMs. okay, these are the three VMs: DC, ESXHOST01 and ESXHOST02. okay, all three VMs I need to ping not through IP but through FQDN. okay, so that we can give the FQDN while taking the backup. okay, so let's see, I have already changed those settings also for VMnet 2. I'm again showing you 192.168.1.1, subnet mask is default one, and DNS server is 1.100. okay, so after this change we need to test whether we can able to ping the FQDN of our VMs from our base system. okay, why it is required? Because we need to take the backup using the FQDN. okay, so let's move on to the next step. So next step is, through Windows 2022 base system, that is our main physical system, we need to confirm the ping test network connectivity with ESXHOST01 and 02 FQDNs. okay, so I will close this. So let's open a command prompt with the administrator access, and now I will ping two machines from here, ESXHOST01 and ESXHOST02. okay, so let's try to ping ESXHOST01 FQDN from here. Remember we are into physical machine Windows 2022 DC system, so ping ESXHOST01 dot ESXlab dot local. okay, so this is my ESXHOST01 FQDN, and if I'm hitting enter, it is pinging my correct IP. okay, same way I can test for ESXHOST02 also. And now it is pinging ESXHOST02 also. And the last confirmation, we will ping our DC system also. So let's see. And you can see it is pinging the 43 IP also, although it is having 100 also, but 43 is a secondary IP given by the VMware Workstation VMnet adapter. So that's fine. Okay, so this is how we can test our FQDN ping or network connectivity. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Now next step is through vCenter Web UI, migrate your vCenter server VM from ESXHOST to ESXHOST01 to ESXHOST02. Now why this is required? Because we are taking a VM level backup of our ESXHOST01. So ultimately we are going to shut off this machine and we are going to delete this machine in the next module when we are actually recovering. But before that we need to migrate our running machine VMware vCenter server from one host to another host, so that this host 01 ESXHOST01 VM will be in clean state. Okay, but in production scenario, if you are having a live vMotion or HA is configured, so no need to do that. But in lab setup we are doing this just to make sure that this particular ESXHOST01 VM is running in an clean state or an empty state. So that's why I've just added this particular step. Okay, so let's go back to our DC system. And here I will first exit from here. I will open my browser and I will log into my vCenter server using SSO account. Okay, so we have logged in using our SSO account. So now I will go to the VMs and you can see all the VMs are showing over here, but let's click on ESXHOST01. So currently ESXHOST01 is hosting our VMware vCenter server virtual machine or VM. Okay, so I will select this particular virtual machine. I will say migrate, change compute resource only. Next, I will choose ESXHOST02. I will say next. Network is default next. Schedule vMotion with high priority. That means immediately it will migrate. I will say next and I will say finish. And don't worry about it, it will migrate on a live state. That means the vCenter server VM will not get off or it will not even restart. It will lively migrate to ESXHOST02. Okay, so it will take 2 minutes or so. Let me just check it now whether it is already migrated or not. Refreshing this console. Still it is showing on where vCenter server, so no problem. It will take 1 or 2 minutes more and it will migrate to ESXHOST02 ultimately. Okay, it is still refreshing and now you can see it has been disappeared. Okay, so it is now migrated to ESXHOST02. Okay, so this is a live vMotion or live migration what we have already covered in our previous modules also. Okay, so now ESXHOST02 is hosting all the VMs, vCenter also and 11 Windows 11 CL also. Okay, so ESXHOST01 is as of now in clean state with not hosting any active virtual machines. Okay, so let's move on to our next step. So next step is confirm that vCenter server VM is migrated successfully from ESXHOST01 to 2 that we have already confirmed. Okay, so our vCenter server is currently on ESXHOST02. Next is log out from our vCenter server web UI. So I will log out from here. I'll close this window also, minimize. Let's move on to the next step. So next step is I'm powering off my ESXHOST01 VM directly through my DC direct console. DC means direct console, directly through my direct console through web console. Either way I can shut it down. So let's do it from our direct console. I'm coming back to my VMware workstation console. From here I will first press F12. It will ask me for the root password. I will put the root password. Now F12 is for shutdown or restart the ESX host directly from the console. Okay. And now it is given me the both the options, F2 for shutdown and F11 for restart. Okay. And if you are shutting down or restarting your ESX host, it is giving a further option, forcefully terminate running VMs if any. Okay. So we had already make sure that no running VMs are there in ESXHOST01, so we don't need to click this option. I need to press F2 over here because I need to completely shut down this particular ESX host. Okay, and once this is shut down, let's say now after the shutdown we will take our backup from the file level or the VM level perspective from VEEAM Backup and managers. Okay, so ESXHOST01 is completely shut down now. Let's move on to the next step. Next step is we need to log on to our VEEAM Backup and Replication console through Windows 2022 base system. Remember, not through DC system but base system. Base system also we have installed VEEAM Backup and Replication console, the full product. So I will say connect over here. Let's move on to the next step. So through VEEAM Backup and Replication server console, click Home, Backup Job and File Share. Okay, so I will click on Backup Job and File Share. Remember, we are under Home option, File Share. Okay, next step is provide an appropriate backup job name and description and click Next. So I'm just giving the name and description over here. You can give as per your choice name and description. I will say next. Next is, now we need to add the particular object or a folder for taking the ESXHOST01 VM backup. So I know that within my Explorer, when I'm creating any particular VM, VMware workstation is actually creating one folder. Okay, within that folder, if I'm while creating the VM, we need to give the path of this particular VM folder. Okay, inside that it is storing all the configuration files and your virtual hard disk and other things, right? So I need to give the path of this particular ESXHOST01, and we are going to take the backup of this entire folder, because in this particular folder the entire content of our ESXHOST01 VM is actually stored. Okay, so I will click on add and I will expand this. I will go to my path VMware and I will choose this particular ESXHOST01. I will say OK. Okay. Let's say, just giving an example, let's say if I want to take the complete lab backup with all the VMs, I can take by selecting the root folder VMware, which is actually containing all the 3 VMs. So if I'm selecting this folder, then it will back up all my 3 VMs also. But as of now, I don't require that. I require only ESXHOST01. So that's why I've just added ESXHOST01. Okay. So I will say next. So back to new file backup job window, objects, verify that the correct VM folder has been added and click next. That we have already done. Okay. So next is on backup repository window, keep default values or change as per your preference and click next. Okay. So default backup repository means the repository which is been created by our VIM software by the time of installation, and you can create a custom repository also. If you want to learn how to create a custom repository, then you can go back to my previous module video on this, while I have shown how to configure your VIM backup server. Okay, as of now in this particular Windows 2022 base system, I have not created a custom repository. I have left the default backup repository. Now what is our default backup repository? It is E drive, and there is a backup folder over here, and these two folders, it has been created automatically by the software, VM backup and replication software. Okay, so why this E backup? I have created it? No, it has been created by Vim automatically. Then why only on E drive? Because it has automatically detected that my E drive is having maximum free space. Okay, you can see 838 GB of 838. That means 100% free space is there in this particular partition. That's why it has automatically selected itself that okay, this is a good drive to create a backup repository. So let it be. So I will not change anything over here. So default backup repository E backup. Okay, and now the second setting over here is keep all versions of the last 28 days. That means it will keep the copies of your backup 28 copies. Okay, today, then tomorrow, and this thing. If you are making it a daily, if you are making it, let's say, weekly, then it will keep your 28 weeks copy. So accordingly, you can choose over here 28 days, 28 months, and all these things. So keep all versions for the last of 28 days. That means maximum by 28 days it will keep your backup versions. After 29 day, it will overwrite your oldest version. Okay, so as of now I will just change this window to 14. You can change as per your preference, so that's not a problem. And I will say next. Okay, so these are the values what we have defined. Let's move on to the next step. Next step is on schedule window, keep default values or change the schedule as per your reference and click apply. So archive repository, we don't require anything to change over here. I will say next, and in the schedule I will select run the job automatically and I will choose my default schedule whatever it is. So daily at this particular time I have chosen 10 p.m. Let's say you can choose whatever time you want to, and then frequency also you can change every day, on weekends, on any particular days and all. So this is a normal backup settings for any backup software, but this is the most important setting. Okay, now rest of the settings, retry failed items processing 3 times. That means suppose due to XYZ reason, network connectivity failure or anything, if the particular attempt of taking a backup fails, how many times it will retry? So default is 3. You can increase it as per your choice, you can decrease it whatever, and then wait before each try is 10 minutes. So one attempt fail, it will wait for 10 minutes, second attempt, then second also failed, 10 minutes, third attempt, like that it will go. Okay, and the last option, we don't need to change anything, terminate the job outside the backup window. That means you can define a backup window that, okay, let's say at the night 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. only that backup window is there, but then if the retries goes beyond 6 p.m. 6 a.m., then it will terminate the job. So that option is also available. Let me show that option. We will again deselect this one, but let me show that option. If I'm clicking window, so as of now everything is permitted, all 24/7. Okay, but you can choose whatever you want to choose and all these things. You can deselect this one and this thing and this thing, but as of now we don't require anything, so I will not change anything over here. And now finally we need to click apply over here, so I will say apply. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So next step is verify the summary and click finish. So this is the summary of our backup job. Configuration has been successfully saved. Name is ESXHOST01 backup job. Type is file backup. Remember, we have taken the backup of our vCenter server also, but that is an application level backup. This is a file level backup. Okay. Now source items are our ESXHOST01 folder path, and then PowerShell CMDLet we have not defined anything, but it has taken automatically. So using the PowerShell CMDLet also we can start this particular job. Okay, and manually also we can start this job. So why not try this PowerShell? It will give you something new to learn. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm copying this command. First of all, I'm just pasting it in my notepad. Okay, and here first of all let's complete our PPT steps. We will click on finish. Okay, now the next particular step is very simple. I can right click this particular backup job and I will say start. Okay, but as I said, let's try it through PowerShell. Okay, so I'm not doing this particular step through GUI. It's very simple, but let's open a PowerShell. IIC command, run as administrator. I'm always comfortable with the IIC command because any command you can paste it over here, or you can paste it over here also. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's copy this. Let's paste this over here. Okay, now before hitting enter, let me just give you a brief idea. While installing your VEEAM Backup and Replication Manager software on any machine, it is actually installing your PowerShell module also, some of the basic commands and all. For some advanced commands, you may need to install some extra modules for VEEAM Backup and Replication, but the basic module is getting installed along with your software. Okay, so let's see if I'm hitting enter, it will start my job or not. So now I have hit enter and it should start, and you can see backup job session, job ESXHOST01 backup, and it has started processing some bytes, although it is 0 of 0 bytes as of now. Now by the time it is doing this job, let's go back to our console also, and you can see one backup job is already running because we have already triggered it through our PowerShell. So if I am clicking this, so it will show you the summary from the GUI perspective also. So whichever way you are comfortable, you can monitor this particular process. Okay, through your PowerShell also, it is showing the same status. As of now, it has not started transferring anything, but it will start soon. Or through GUI also. In GUI, it will give some more details than your PowerShell. So we will try to monitor both the things at the same time. So it will take some time to start. So I'm just pausing this video for a while. Once it's started, we will see, we'll monitor the process and we'll move on to the next step. And as you can see, it has started and immediately it has finished also, because this particular speed is on a very high side. 99% it is already finished. Let's go back to our PowerShell and you can see over here it has already finished 99%. Average rate is 57 MB per second, and now you can see through PowerShell, state is stopped, result is success. Our backup job is successful. Okay, and same way it should show the success in your GUI also. Okay, so through PowerShell also you can trigger your backup, or through GUI also you can trigger your backup. So now this particular job has been completed. Okay, I can stop the session as of now, but there is no need as of now. So this particular ESXHOST01 backup job has been started and finished also with the successful status. So next step is we have already done, we have monitored the ESXHOST01 backup job and acknowledged once its status is success. So it's already done from our side. Now couple of last steps. Verify that the backup job folders and size of the backed up data. So we will verify that. I will come back to my main system and I will go back to my E drive backup ESXHOST01 backup job, and there is a random number, encrypted number or something like that. I will go inside this and there is a folder called data. Okay, now you can see these are the encrypted type of different folders it has taken. So let's say the total size of this particular backup is 1 GB example. We can verify that what is the size of our backup. So you can see 1.3 GB. Okay, 100%. So the total backup size is 1.3 GB, but it has further diverted it into 5 parts. So round about 250 GB of each part. Okay, So let's go back to our PPT. So what we need to verify is path for the data backup folder is default backup repository ESXHOST01, then backup job folder, then your whatever the random number, and under that the data folder. So we are into that particular folder. Every time it will generate some different kind of numbers and all that one as per security. Inside that there are common folders called data. Again, these numbers are random ones. Okay, but we can make a sense out of that. It is always storing your backup in data folder. Okay, and size is 1.3 GB. So let's see, it is showing 1.3 GB over here also, it is showing 1.3 GB over here also. Okay, let's see what is the actual size of it. So I will just select all, go to the properties, and you can see 1.3 GB. Okay, so this is the full file VM level backup of our ESXHOST01. Okay, remember you can take the backup of our files and folders in a same way, but this is our VM backup. Okay, so this completes our chapter 5 for taking our ESXHOST01 VM level backup through VM backup and replication server. So thank you all for watching this particular video and for your time. This is your host signing off from Sarup IT Solutions. If you like this particular video, please share it with your IT colleagues and do subscribe with my Sarup IT Solutions YouTube channel. Okay. Thanks all once again. Have a good day.